Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Welcome to another in my line of series of iconic backpacks. Now, in this series what I do is I, in my own humble, honest opinion, take backpacks that I feel have reached an iconic or legendary status. I've made a few so far. I'll leave a link somewhere here so that you can see those. But the one that we are going to have a look today is the Alpha 19er Evade 1.5 full. Now there's two versions of that, so we'll get into a little bit the differences between the two. They're very subtle. But for me, I think you look on any sort of backpack forum, you look at any sort of top 10 EDC backpacks, the Evade is always on that list. And now when we're talking about always on the list, if it was a top 5, you generally tend to find that the Evade would be in those top 5 lists. It's an incredibly well thought out bag that is feature rich but not ridiculous. And I think that's what this pack has. It just has a incredibly refined balance. So I'll stop waffling on, and what we'll do is I'll turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look at this. Before I do, I just want to say a massive thank you to Helm for sending this to me. Now, I'd always like you to stay tuned to the end, but definitely stay tuned to the end because I'd like to give you just a little bit more information about Helm and how he's designed these packs, the idea of Alpha 19er, you know, little tidbits from where the name came from, that sort of thing. I want to get into the bag, so let's have a look at the bag first. But yeah, definitely please stay tuned to the end so that I can give out some well-deserved thanks and shout outs as well. Now while I'm turning the camera around, please feel free to hit the like, subscribe and share. It's absolutely amazing for my channel to get that. If you do choose to do it, I'd like to say thank you here at this point for subscribing and becoming a member of the community. Yeah, it's greatly appreciated. But for now, let's turn the camera around and take a closer look at the Evade 1.5 full. The first thing that I mentioned at the beginning of this, so there are two versions. There is the full version, which is the one that I have here, and there's also a light version. The light version, the main difference really is the laptop section. So with the light version, the laptop section isn't there, but everything else pretty much is in an identical place. As far as the dimensions are concerned, as this is made in the US of A, we'll go with the old-fashioned versions. So it comes in at 19 inches by 12 inches across. Now the 12 inches, hopefully you'll see that there is a bit of a taper on this. So it's a little wider around the bottom. So this is where you got your 12 inches. It tapers up roughly to about 9 inches at the top. And as far as the depth is concerned with this one comes in at 9 inches of depth. With the light version, because the light version doesn't have that laptop section, then it comes in at 7 inches. You definitely get your bang for your buck as far as materials with this. All of your materials on here are incredibly high quality materials, and there's a few different versions depending on what kind of weight, what kind of setup, how you really want to use this. The version that I've got here, I generally asked for this version purely because it's a lot different material than the type of packs that I generally go for in the past. So this is a 420D diamond ripstop material, which is really nice, and hopefully if you can see as well, so the outside of the pack is this really nice kind of gunmetal grey. And then this front section here is all black, but they do have full coloured versions, and there are 2 or 3 different versions of variations with this colour. There is also a 500D nylon version, which again, you know, you've got your typical black, coyote, I think it's ranger green rather than OD green. But again, there are a few different combinations with the colours there. And then there's also a 1050D ballistic nylon, which is just absolutely bomber. This version though, with it being especially for the material, with it being 420, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I did write this down, I think it comes in about 1.9 kilos, whereas if you go for the heavier 1050D ballistic nylon, that comes in about 2.5 kilos. So depending on how you're going to use this, then you can get the perfect balance of materials and weight for you. They have that option there. The rest of the materials on here, so all of the zippers are YKK zippers. They all have these pulls with these kind of cat tongue little stubs on the end. All of the hardware on here is incredibly hard hardware, and all of the lining used throughout here as well, because everything is lined to make sure that you get extra protection in there, is a 210 ripstop nylon as well. Now, getting into the pack, I did mention this is a feature-rich bag, and there is a lot to talk about in here. But I think the best thing about this is it's a perfect balance. If you want to rock this just for going into the office, you throw your laptop in it, it's your daily commute, you can do that. If you want to use this more as a pack that you can do that with, but then at the weekend, take all of your laptop stuff out, throw all of your kit in here so that you can go out, you can come out into the woods like this. You can completely do with this as you choose. It is an amazing crossover pack that has the ability to do both. So what we'll do is going through, so the front section here, it's a reasonably clear front, although I've been brushing against some trees today. But hopefully you'll be able to see that there are some webbing loops here. Now these loops, when you first get it, so this elastic strapping on here, it was in one of the pockets, so you can get this, but you can take it off. It's very simple to take off. But what these 4 bottom loops here also work as, they also work as an attachment for a beaver tail that you can purchase additionally to this. All of the beaver tails all have the same colorways to make sure whichever version of the pack that you go for, they will fit onto there, and they fit on both the light and the full version. I hear talks of a 2.0 version as well, so all of these they'll also make sure that they fit those as well. Coming up, you'll see that there is a small morale patch field here, which I quite like actually. If I was going to change anything, you know, we like our morale patches, I'd go for a full, just across the top there, bang on your morale patches so you can put on whatever you like. But I do like the fact that if you're not into morale patches and you just want to cover that up, you can do, and it looks like the rest of the pack. It's the same material all across the front here. We then have a few different pockets, so there is an organisation pocket, a quick access pocket, and then there's some more, but we'll touch on those as we go through it. The bottom, just quickly, so the bottom does have additional reinforcement, additional padding in there, just in case you are the type of person that likes to throw your bag around. And also on here, which I think is always an option that every single crossover style backpack company should do, is you've got some webbing on here on the bottom so that you can attach additional things. It's great if you're on just a simple city break and you want to take a jacket off, put it into here rather than keeping it in there, you can do that. But if you want to, you can totally take these off. They will slip through there and just leave you with a more, you know, kind of a less is more bottom to it. On the sides, now the sides on this side, it's actually identical on this side as well, so I'll just show you this side for now. But what we have on here, so there are 2 compression straps, both of which, if you did want to take these off again, so if again you want to run this and not have these on here, so the hardware on the back here, it is a split D, so you can just, if you have to lift it up a little bit, push it through there, and then you can take these off, and these will all come off. The main advantage for this one, especially here at the top, mentioning though that beaver tail, so the beaver tail clips on 1, 2, 3, 4, and then rather than using, where are they, here, these bits here, it comes up and it uses the male attachments here, so you can take these female attachments off, clip that on, and use the compression system with the beaver tail, which it's very, very, very well thought out. It's certainly one thing that you'll hear me saying a lot probably today, is just the amount of thought that has been put into this bag. So you have a large water bottle pocket, and this really is large. I can get both fists in there with ease. I'm sure that's calling for, that's what she said. But this is a 750ml bottle, fits in easy. You can even fit in a 1 litre Nalgene, one of the wider ones. They will fit in there with ease. Now, I did come out today. I know you've seen in the past that I like to sometimes hang this on a tree so that you can see it, but this big old tree had fallen down through the winter and I thought it was really useful. But I've got about 6 meters worth of climbing rope there, and it all fits in. You can cinch that down so that whatever is in there is cinched in, and it's in there good and fast. That's really good that these are on here. I think more people should have those on, even if you're doing it for a daily commute, just to be able to throw an umbrella or something like that in there, I think is great. Now I'm going to skip the back because there's some extra little compartments here on the back, but we'll have a look at those as we go through the pack and work our way round. So on the front, double ambi open zippers. The zips on these, as I mentioned, these are all YKK zips. They're very smooth. You know, I have to say it's YKK and they do a very, very good job. So as this front flap comes down, hopefully you'll be able to see. Again, you know, there's no section of this that I just don't think Helm hasn't put some thought into. Wherever there's something that could potentially be reused, it is reused. So as this flap comes down, you have some of this really nice, strong mesh. All of the mesh through here is the same material, and it is super strong, and it is also gusseted to make sure that it expands out well. In here I've been keeping one of these small little IKEA bags. I don't care how gangster you think you are, these things are awesome. Simple as. So zip that closed. When we get into here, there is a section here. Now this is the pocket for the pocket here at the top. But what it also does is, with that flap coming over, it conceals some of the extra things in here. There's a D-ring here, so if you want to attach additional pouches in here, you can do, or maybe if you've got something that you want to clip on there, you can. There are a range of pouches. I'm not going to say the word because I'll probably just massacre it, so I'll put it here. But there are a range of pouches that you can get which will fit all of the fixtures and these D-rings if you want to. Now, what this flap here also does is conceal this little zip pocket, so there is an additional zip pocket which goes down, what's that? That's probably about 25 centimeters, which you can fit a lot into. It goes all the way into this seam, all the way across to that seam, and then all the way down. So if you're concerned, maybe you're in work and you want to put something to make sure that people don't get their hands on it, then yeah, that's great. On this side there is a key stay. However, well, it's not however, you can take this off and there is the same one on this side. So depending on whether you take your pack off your left arm to use your keys to get into something, you can completely customize that. It's a very simple customization, but you can have that on whichever side you choose to. This pocket goes right the way down to this seam here, so there's a lot of additional things that you can place here in the bottom. And then hopefully you'll see that there is an organization panel here. So in the organization panel there's another zip pocket. There's some additional larger pockets for putting things in. This one you can put your phone into, but you know, I've just got a little what's it kit in there. I've got my pen that comes everywhere with me. The best thing about this is it totally comes off. It's a rarity that you get these in packs like this. So the fact that this is included also means that if this becomes your favourite pack and you use this panel a lot, there's no reason that you can't just keep taking this off and putting it in other packs. But behind there is a whole hook and loop field. So if you did want to, if you're in a place where you can maybe put, I don't know, a pistol on there or some extra magazines on there, then you certainly can do. So that's that first front pocket. The next one I probably already mentioned is the fact that, so across the top here, across this seam, there is a fleece lined additional pocket. Now, just to make sure, I mean, the fleece lined part is actually quite tough anyway, but it is double lined. As I mentioned, there is a lot of additional lining in here, and this uses the 420 ripstop, diamond ripstop, and then you've got the fleece line pocket inside. So it's great for your mobile phones, just to make sure that they don't get scratched. Past that, we then have two additional zips here, which when you make sure you have all of your suspension clips undone, zip all the way down. Now, I say all the way down, you probably say that this is a full clamshell, but it does stop probably about 50 millimeters, maybe 2 inches from the bottom. So if I open this out now like that, where these pockets are here, it doesn't go all the way over. So that does mean that if you have anything that's reasonably flat in this bottom pocket, when it goes over, whatever's in there will fold with whatever it is. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, in this front section, I had my pencil case, which is in that fold. If I take this out now, it folds open a lot easier. So again, it's just something to keep in mind. It's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's not a bad thing at all. But you just need to remember, for this to open, to have a better fold in there, not to have anything rigid like a book or anything like that in here. But when I've been using this in my daily commute, I've had my laptop stuff in here, so all of my cables, all of my plug banks, all of that sort of stuff, it's all fit perfectly in here. You have this large section here at the bottom, and then you have an additional one here at the top, which I just keep a little medical kit in there, and then there is an additional D-ring here to make sure that if there's extra things that you want to stow in here, you know, you've got every base covered. Moving into the main section, so I keep my little tech pouch in there. Now that's my large tech pouch, which just carries everything. So I also have one of these smaller ones. I picked these up from IKEA a few years back. I think they were a couple of quid tops. But yeah, they've been brilliant. And then on here as well, I also have, this is what I keep all of my camera equipment in. I got this, where did I get this? I got this from ALPKit. ALPKit, if you're watching, please stop making these cells again. These are absolutely amazing, and I shed a small tear when you stopped making these. But on the inside, so across the back here, it is fully lined with hook and loop. Now the hook and loop on here as well also has additional modularity, as every other inch and then every inch across, you've got some PALS webbing that the hook and loop are stitched onto as well. At the back here, you then have 3 additional D-rings. Now these 3 additional D-rings here at the top, especially when you look at those additional pouches that you can buy if you choose to get those, this is where a lot of those extra fixing points come in, so that you can completely kit this out to exactly the way that you want it. Now, I think I haven't mentioned this so far. Why have I not mentioned this so far? This is a 25 litre pack, so the vast majority of that 25 litres is in this section, and it's genuinely deceiving. So 25 litres, when I first got this, it shocked me. There's some special black magic that's been worked here, purely because this feels a larger pack. I think the space that's been used in this has been used in a very clever and very effective way to give the dimensions the appearance that it's actually larger, and then when you're actually using it, the amount that you can get into this, it feels larger than a regular 25 litre pack. If I was going to guess, when I first got this, I'd probably say it feels akin more to something like a 30 litre pack. it does very well to manage that space. So that's the main section. Moving across the top, you then have a really nice grab handle here. Tubular webbing. It is 2022. Everyone should be using tubular webbing. Tubular webbing is the same as normal webbing, but it's ring spun so that you don't get a side that could possibly, you know, scratch on something. It's used a lot amongst the climbing community, slacklining, that sort of stuff. But it's great, so you can fill the tubular webbing with something so that you then don't have to stitch anything. I have medium to large size hands. It gets in and I can grab what I need to do and throw it around. All of the stitching throughout is straight as a die. It's very, very, very well stitched. All of the points where there are stress points, all of the stitching has additional reinforcements on there. The materials are, if I remember rightly, all made in the US. But these are manufactured in Southeast Asia in Alpha 19's own factories. You know, they've invested in local communities to make sure that they can give back to the people that are making their products, which I think is certainly an admirable thing to do. So we move past the grab handle to the back section, and this is your tech section. There's a large laptop sleeve here at the back. This will fit in a 16-inch laptop. I was very happy with that because I rock a 16-inch laptop, a Lenovo 16-inch laptop. And then in here you also have some additional sleeves as well. So you have a small one that you can put, like I keep my notebook. I work in illustration, so I keep some paper in there that I can illustrate on. And then as far as keeping it off the bottom, there is a good, well, there's a good inch or so from the bottom. And then, you might have heard me just pull this off, you have some additional padding just to make sure. So this has some hook and loop on the bottom so that when you push this in, this sits right at the bottom. Do you know what? I've never even thought about that. Why don't I just take that out? If I took that out, it would fit in there perfectly. So it's suspended from the bottom, and they give you some extra padding, which, duh, in fact, there, I've took it out, and I'll keep that just on the side. I'll keep it here in the bag. Very, very, very well thought out, well organised tech section. Now I'm going to spin it round, but I'm only going to spin it halfway, and that is because here on this side and also here on this side, in fact I'll open this so that I can open this here as well, you'll hopefully be able to see it is a full pass-through. So if you are in a part of the world where you can CCW, then you have this section in here. On the inside there is a full panel of hook and loop that you can attach additional magazines to, or your pistol to. Whether you want to take this off and pull down to open, whether you want to take this and pull up, there are two zips on there so that you can reach in, you can grab your firearm, pull it out and use it. Now this is a very old retro firearm. Hopefully you'll notice that it's safe, it's not loaded. I've checked, yeah, it's definitely not loaded. But with the size of this, you want to rock a Desert Eagle 50 AE, you could probably fit that in there if you think that you're gangster enough to rock one of those bad boys. So, on the back, where to start? The suspension system on this is amazing. It's no different to a lot of other suspension systems. However, it's just very, very, very well thought out again. So, load adjusters. If you're carrying a lot of stuff, there are load adjusters in here so that if you want to pull on these, it will just pull the pack closer to your shoulders. Hopefully if you notice there's a pull on that, it kind of adds some rigidity to that as well. The load adjusters, just with some simple elastic loops, you can make sure that they don't come away from you, and they're very, again, very, very well thought out. The padding on here, now as far as the width of the padding, when maybe you compare this to something like the GoRook GR1, the GR1, the padding on that is super wide. The padding on this is actually really quite narrow, and it was something that at first I thought, I don't know about this. Then I put it on and all of those worries just completely went, because the padding in here, I don't know if this is a closed cell foam, I don't think it's a memory foam, but whatever it is, it's awesome. So it does a very good job of pushing the weight through into that foam, which then just spreads it out. For me, it sits perfectly in that kind of valley between my pectorals and my shoulders, and it just sits perfectly in there. It lines that little valley, and it does a very, very, very good job. So moving on, we also have a sternum strap. Some people not fans of sternum straps. Personally, I love them and I always keep them on. Going down, we then have quick releases just in case you do need to ditch this quickly. Additional pieces of elastic loops on there so that all of the straps, there's no flapping with these straps because it's all managed incredibly well. On the actual back, oh sorry, I forgot down here at the bottom as well, in the corners there are two 1.5 inch loops. So if you want to add a belt to this, it doesn't come with a belt, which I'm fine with, but if you have a favourite belt or one that you can attach to this, then you can attach this to it as well. As far as the rear panel for your back is concerned, I think people fall into a few different camps. There is the camp that you have two lines that come up where the padding is, and then you have the camps where maybe you'll have one across the bottom and then two across. I generally actually prefer it like this. I find for an EDC bag, especially one around 25 litres, you know, this is 25 litres, that additional lumbar kind of section at the bottom isn't really needed as much. So the two ones that you have here, the ventilation, it's very good for that. But I say this all the time, it's never going to stop you from sweating. Really, it's about managing the sweat and allowing that sweat to dissipate and you know, come off the body. It does a very good job of that. And then as an additional added extra, if you're using this to travel with, there is a luggage pass-through here, which when it's not used, so it's elasticated on both sides, and then underneath you have some hook and loop which holds it back down. Is there anything that I've missed? So much to talk about this bag. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, well-made bag. And as far as how does it carry, well, it carries exactly as you'd expect. I've probably given away way too many clues already in the fact that it just is a great pack. The straps on here, as I mentioned, so there is some ergonomic kind of lining or ergonomic tapering to it. So as it does fit just over the shoulders and in that valley again between my chest and my shoulders, and it's just great. It's absolutely great pack. Now, I did say for good reason this is an iconic pack. It's not been around as long as certain packs. However, it's just, I think amongst the backpack community, it's got a name for itself. And well, I mean, it's the Evade, but it hasn't got a special name. It's El Nino or anything like that. But the name that it's got really does stand for the quality and the thought that's been put into it. And I think that's the extra kind of added bonus with this pack. It is the thought and the time that Helm has put into this. Now, I did say at the beginning of this, so I did want to just give you a little bit more information about Helm and his business. So he was in the forces. Alpha 19er was his call sign when he was in the forces. I just had where he was in his position just in the tip of mind. But it does say a lot of this on the website, so you can see this. He came out of the forces thinking about the kind of the gear and the equipment that they've been using and thinking how he could help to improve that. Then working between certain fashion houses because he realized that he got a flair for this kind of design, between Milan and New York. Then going from more of the military side to, is there a way that we can make this type of stuff for just the general population, gear enthusiasts, backpack lovers, nerds and geeks like me and yourself, hopefully, if you're watching this. So there's a lot of experience that Helm draws back onto, and it's the little points, it's the little pieces that of finesse that again just make this, and easily throws this onto my iconic list of backpacks. Now, I'd like at this point to say a huge thank you for Helm to sending this to me. Massive shout out to Helm. Check them out. I'll leave all of the links in the description below so that you can see more from Alpha 19er, you can see the website and some of their social media links as well. As an additional added extra, we have never met, however I'd love to meet him one day, shake his hand and buy him a pint. If you don't believe me, hopefully you do believe me, I would highly recommend check out George Defined here on YouTube. If you don't know him, firstly, shame on you. Secondly, double shame on you for not knowing him. He's a top bloke, and he was one of the first people that kind of brought this bag to my attention. I think it was 2019 he made a piece of content on this. So yeah, huge shout out to George, top bloke. You really should check him out. Check his channel out as well. Do you know what? That blackbird knows. I hope you heard that. Thanks for that. That was perfect timing. I think I may be at a point where I can start a top 5 list of backpacks or bags. Maybe I should get that piece of content in there, because this should definitely be on that top 10 list. Yeah, so cool. Hope you're all good. I hope you're all having an awesome weekend. And the usual Moorlander thing, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC.